Summertime is right around the corner, and for many churches, summer brings a change in attendance patterns as well as a shift in programs and ministry models. Today, we're talking about how to communicate with your congregation throughout the summer months to help keep people connected.
Hey there, church communicator. Welcome to the Church Juice podcast, where we are energizing church communications one 20-minute episode at a time. Whatever your title or role is at your church, this show is designed to give you the communication and marketing tools, resources, and even community to help you be successful. My name is Brian Haley, and I'm joined, as always, by my incredible co-host, Jeanette Yates. Hey, Jeanette.
Oh my goodness. Brian, when you were going through that intro, I noticed that you said something slightly different than
What
you
did I
normally
say?
You said community, which
Do
is
I
my
not normally
favorite
say
word.
that?
I don't know. Maybe normally I'm looking at my notes trying to figure out what I'm supposed to say next.
What's funny is right before we started recording this episode, we talked about, we have little sections that are scripted, right? So I was mentioning how I like to look at the camera and not at the script, but I can never memorize the scripted areas. So that little community section has been in the script probably every episode ever, but I would assume I just don't ever remember to say it. So.
Or maybe when you've done, I don't know how many seasons now we've done together.
A few episodes.
The parts that we know are coming or that we know that we say every week, I may kind of zone out for a second. But I'm back. I'm back with you guys.
No, hey, we all have short attention spans, right?
That's right.
But community is really important to what we do here at Church Juice. You know, one of the things that I think makes this Church Juice program ministry unique and different is that it really is simply a community. We're not selling anything. We're not like pushing anything. We're really just here as a service and support to you, the church leader, church communicator. So community is critical to what we do. That's kind of how we win. That's
kind of our thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we do.
That's right. But today we are not talking specifically about community for you, the church leader or church communicator, but we are talking about summertime, which leads to community, of course. But for many churches, like Jeanette talked about, for many churches, there is a shift, big or small, in attendance patterns, in like the programming that happens throughout the week and month. So summertime just brings a different routine and rhythm to how we do church often. So today we're talking about what that means, because summer is right around the corner. And for a lot of churches, Mother's Day or Memorial Day here in the US, that really brings in that kind of shift toward that summer rhythm or routine. So we're talking about how to keep people connected during the summer and give you some things to think about. So we're actually talking about the ABCs of summertime communication today.
I love a little word language kind of connection point with our topic. So alliteration, ABCs, love all those things. So the first thing we're going to talk about, and this is just kind of something, we just need to hit this. It is a thing, is we, as church leaders, as church communicators, we need to just accept that the shift happens. It's a big shift. For some churches, for others, it's a small shift. People are just going on their different vacations and things. But either way, there's that shift, and we just need to accept it for what it is and move on.
Well, and it's okay to embrace that too. We talk a lot about how gathering as the church is important, but that doesn't neglect the rest of what happens in life, right? So allowing people the time to rest or to spend time as a family during the summer when rhythms change, like, that's an okay thing to do. And it's okay for the church to embrace that as well and realize that attendance on Sundays throughout the year is changing. People attend less frequently. So summertime may kind of exacerbate that, but it's still happening throughout the year. And so summer gives us an opportunity to kind of accept what's happening in a quick, 3-month, whatever time span, and really just to embrace that and help people live into that new rhythm that they are doing, even if it's just for a season there.
Well, and you can also think about this as an opportunity to teach the people in your church that worship, while we love that corporate worship that happens in our church services on Sunday mornings or whenever you're having your service, that worship can happen in your home, in your hotel room, on vacation, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think this is, one of the things that you can do is communicate to your congregation ways that they can worship together in their homes with their families, when they're on the go, when they're in a different routine for summer, that it's still okay to gather in that small family group and worship. Or maybe, my neighborhood, I have a lot of people from my church that live in my neighborhood. It's like, even though, so, we could even gather. But I think, educating and reminding and giving some resources for families and friends to gather in their homes or gather when they're on vacation together is a good idea and kind of fun.
Well, that's a really important aspect to think about too on a larger scale, because worship does happen outside of the church building or outside of Sunday morning, right? Helping families or helping households to create healthy at home or wherever they're at, help them create those worship habits or family discipleship habits throughout the week is really, it should be an important part of what the church is doing in general. So knowing that people are going on vacation, families are traveling throughout the summer, gives you, the church, the opportunity to help families think about and create those healthy habits at home. And maybe that's something as simple as, encouraging people to pray at dinner together, or, starting small like that. But there's tons of ways that we can, as the church, kind of help people as they head into summer mode, really develop those habits and be more healthy in that way as well. But it's also, from a communication aspect, communication can be pretty difficult during the summer because people are less connected, generally speaking. So as we communicate during the summer, and as we accept that shift in summer habits, I think for the communicator, it's really important to think about what is the one or two most important things that you want your personas, your target audiences, what should they know throughout the summer? Maybe that's an event, maybe that's a series, maybe I don't know, whatever it is in your church. But rather than throwing everything at people, really focus on what is the most important for people to know during the summer, and really focus your communication in that as well.
I want to bring up one more thing. It's not on our list, but I was thinking about this. When we think about the shift in summer habits and the shift in our summer schedule at church, things change. We might not have the same Sunday school classes and things like that. I think, and church communicator, I know you're not always in charge of this. I see you. But if we can encourage all of our ministries to know what each other are doing for the ministry that they're leading, that will be helpful in communicating. So just a quick example would be like the children's minister, children's director, VBS coordinator does not want to schedule VBS when the youth are on their mission trip. Why? Because we want those youth to be volunteers for the mission trip.
Right.
So, so little things like that. A lot of times during the year, our ministries get into their programming rhythm and they may not always be communicating very well. That happens in churches all the time. I know it. We know it. But if we can work together, then I think that helps. First of all, it'll help you as a communicator because you'll not be so stressed out. But also it'll help provide support and encouragement for the other ministry leaders because they need those, they need those youth to volunteer. They need the men's ministry to be a part of something that another ministry might be doing, et cetera. So just a little brief scheduling thing that is also kind of important to think about during the summer.
A few episodes ago, we talked about creating a central calendar. So we'll link to that in the show notes as well, because if you didn't listen to that episode, that's a great way to kind of think through how do we organize all of this together throughout the summer. So a couple quick ideas to help you accept this shift in summer habits and help families or households create habits at home for worship or for staying connected throughout the summer. One idea that you created, Jeanette, was to create summer devotionals. Where have you seen that successful? What does that look like?
Well, so I think one of my friends, Tom Pounder, who does some digital ministry things, and he talks about using, texting for summer devotional series. So that's really, an easy way to just keep people connected. You can create a series, they can opt into it. You can send text or email or both, or even a video, like watch this video here kind of thing. That's really easy. But when I was looking at our notes for today, seeing that summer devos thing just popped in my head, something really cool. I'm going to try to be quick, but 14 years ago. I mean, it was a long time. Actually, maybe almost 20 years ago now, because it was when my kids were babies and I have a 19-year-old. So my women's Bible study, we took a break in the summer because our kids were going to be home from school, all these things. So we took a break in the summer, but we still wanted to stay connected. So instead of going to that weekly Bible study every week for the 3 months of summer, our leader said, hey, what if we just did and she called it summer salads. Okay. Summer salads. We'll have a little, we'll bring some, it was a covered dish, you bring your little whatever you want to eat. We
salad,
all come together. Well, sometimes, it could be like a fruit salad or, whatever.
Okay.
No, just a little light dinner. We're not, it's not a smorgasbord.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyway, and then she would do a talk one week, and we only did it for 4 weeks. So just in June. So 4 weeks, Sunday nights, come up there, or Wednesday nights, come up there, eat a little salad, listen to a talk from one of our, the pastor's wife came one time, our Sunday school leader did one time. And then, we had, long story short, it started with the 15, 25 women that were in the Bible study that were showing up to these summer salads. Bryan, hold onto your hats, because I'm about to tell you, by the time that it got to its heyday, we were hosting 300 women, and we were having people just like regular Joe, Jeanette, which I did give a talk one time, people from our church that had experienced something that we were going to share, we wanted to share. But then Lisa Turkhurst from Proverbs 31 Ministries, she gave a little talk one time.
All right.
So,
nice.
We had people coming in, and it just got to be a big experience. And again, we were keeping it simple. By this time, we weren't all bringing covered dishes. We were just catering the salad from Panera or wherever. But we had, and that easy, no pressure. It's not a Bible study. You don't have to study anything to show up. You just show up, you get encouraged, you have a little salad, maybe a little quiche, little dessert, boom, 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 hung out with your friends, little girls' night on your way. You could come to all of them or come to just one. So it was just a really easy. So, we're talking about that ended up being a lot of production, but at the same time, it was perfect for what our community needed at the time, which was just something fun to do, no planning on their part to show up, and that kind of thing. So anyway, I just wanted to share that story because it reminded me of the ways things shift in the summer.
Okay. So that's A, right?
I know we got B and C, but we'll make them fast. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So accept the shift in summer habits. Let's move to B. B is become less Sunday centric. So like I said a few minutes ago, people are attending less frequently. They don't, on average, attend more than probably once a month. But in the summer, that is often, kind of exasperated a little bit because people are on vacation. So our plan in communication really all year should be to become less Sunday centric. But throughout the summer, we know that we have this condensed period where people are off traveling and doing different things. So we really need to focus our communication outside of Sunday morning. So if you are relying on, stage announcements and the bulletin and what's happening on Sunday to keep people connected, you are missing a ton of people. Even if they're watching online, you're still missing out on a huge segment of your congregation. So becoming less Sunday centric helps you keep people connected throughout the summer when they're traveling. So what does that look like?
Well, I think, and we kind of talk about this all the time, like you said, because we're always encouraging people to use multiple platforms to communicate. Remember, though, we talk about this too, but, any social platform that you have, you do not own that that attention, right? So the platform could shut down anytime. So yes, we encourage you to use social, repurpose your Sunday content to be on social media, things like that. But also know that your email list and your text list and your mailing addresses are also perfectly good uses of getting content out there. So, in addition to saying something on Sunday, you're going to want to, put it on social media. You might also send it out in an email, text it, or variations of that. So I think it's very important to use multiple platforms. And then don't be afraid, aren't people we've said this 10 times, we said it on Sunday, and then we sent an email out, and then we sent a text out, and then we put it on Instagram. Like, aren't they going to be sick of seeing all this? Well, the chances are they haven't seen it all.
Right.
So, they haven't seen it all. So one of those things they're going to see, and feel free to do it multiple times. So don't send one text out, send two. Maybe you send a couple of emails out, put it on your website, those things and then like we said in the last one, only tell them what they need to know. You don't have to tell them everything. Tell them what they need to know for the moment or for the month or whatever, but feel free to say it. I think we've talked about this before, where it's like somebody has to see or hear something 7 to 9 times before it actually sinks in their brain. So, feel free to say it multiple times in multiple places.
Yeah, one way that I think churches can, or communicators can, really embrace this omni-channel approach to the Sunday sermon is to cut the sermon down into bite-sized chunks and use that on social media, use it, send it through email throughout the week, but really kind of deliver that content that you have every Sunday, chunk it into smaller portions, send it out. That's a great way to help people think, to stay connected, to hear important parts of the message. Even if they're not able to listen to the whole thing, right, they can get it throughout the week and through different channels where they may be consuming content otherwise.
Are we ready to move on to the last of the ABCs?
Do it.
I think we might be. So the last C, and actually Bryan and I were kind of debating on this, so maybe y'all could chime in, actually. The last C is connecting, or connect with your people during the summer. That's what we want you to do. But I also think it's about community. So maybe we're both right, but you can chime in the comments on the YouTube, or if you're in our Facebook group, go let us know. Is the ABCs of summer communication? Is the last one connect or community? So really, what we want to do is, in all of this, remember that the purpose of you switching things up, creating different types of content, creating different types of activities or devotionals, it is not for you to get your message necessarily out, or get, to broadcast or push out the information that you need people to know. Mm-hmm. The purpose is, that's important. I mean, that's part of it. Like, that's, people need to know information, but the goal is to stay connected, to keep people in community so they don't feel isolated, alone, like they're just untethered as they shift their schedules and their plans for the summer. So just trying to think not like, wouldn't it be cool if we did blank? Well, it might be cool, but is it what your congregation and your community, is it what they need? Is it what they're asking for? Will it make sense for them? Is it something they can do? So like summer salads was great for my church because people were around, they just couldn't commit to every week, right? But it may not be for your church if everybody leaves in the summer, right? So you have to kind of think, what is a way that we can keep people connected that makes sense for them during the summer?
That's right. And I also think that it's a great time to try new things. So yes, feel free to test ways to connect with people, to build that community throughout the summer. Test ways that you are communicating to people, with people, how they're communicating to and with you. Summer is really a great way to try out new things and see what sticks, what works, what doesn't. And, those are things that you could incorporate into the fall and kind of school year ministry as well. So yeah, I think both connecting and community are interconnected. They are the same in a lot of ways. So the way that we communicate, the way that we connect and build community throughout the summer should really be the focus of your communications. That should be the highlight. That should be your primary focus, is connecting with people, building community, helping them stay connected while they are away, and as to feel part of the congregation, so that when they come back in the fall, hopefully, they don't feel like they've missed anything. They're still a part of that.
Agreed. One last thing that we wanted to share is just remember, I think we kind of touched on this at the beginning, but remember that you can actually create resources to help people worship together, or study together in their homes or family worship resources. I know that at our church during the pandemic, when we were not having, like, let's say vacation Bible school at church, we created like mini kits for families to be able to use together at home. So they got all the tools they needed to do the fun activity, the little craft that goes with this specific day, all that kind of stuff. And so there's different ways that you can do that, do those types of things. You can have it available for people to pick up, or you can drop it off at their home, or you can have all of the resources be digital, depending on what makes sense for your church. But anyway, like I said, we have a lot of ideas. We have more than ABCs, but we are trying to keep our episodes to 20 minutes. So we just wanted to give you some ideas and some encouragement to connect, communicate, build community, all the C's.
Absolutely.
With church juice, which is also a C. That's right.
That's right. And we would love to hear how you connect with people and build that community throughout the summer as well. So if you're not part of our Facebook group, take the time today, join the Facebook group. You can find the link to that and all of our show notes on our website. But that is a wrap on today's show. So thank you for taking the time today to watch today's episode. If you've got something to add, you can also add it below the video, add a comment, and you'll find all of the notes, descriptions, links, all of that in the description below today's video.
On behalf of Church Juice and everyone at Reframe Ministries, thanks for watching. See you next week.